Hey guys, welcome back. Today we're doing a video on the new buff to Daredevil. This is going to be a for Dummies video, just full of my analysis on this guy, how I think the best way to use him is. If I'm wrong, please someone let me know in the comments. I'll update the description, and I'll probably make another video on this guy later down the road because I feel like there's a lot of potential with him that we're just not going to see yet. So like always, if you want to read the abilities and synergies, just pause the video. I'll be showcasing everything later in the video. So if you don't want to read, that's cool, just skip. If you do, just pause it if you want to. So right now, his height for the buff has died completely, I think. He's not really suicides compatible due to his regen rate being dropped from 100% to 40% because he has a rage debuff on him at almost all times. But I say to that, I mean, there's going to be characters who aren't compatible with suicides, and then there's going to be characters who are. There's just nothing you can do about it. And that's the whole point of the masteries, is it's supposed to be detrimental. Okay, so in this next clip, it's against Captain Marvel in Realm of Legends, and this is showcasing my preferred method and rotation of using Daredevil. So you have a passive combo shield, which will never go away. If you get hit, it just subtracts 1 from your combo meter. Below 15 hits, you start in Murdoch Boy, which was that fist. When you're inflicted with a non-damaging debuff, one of those non-damaging debuffs is purified after 0.5 seconds. Each time this ability triggers, Daredevil will gain +5 to his combo, and this ability goes on cooldown for 2 seconds after it's been activated. After you reach a combo of 16 or more, you activate Styx Apprentice. That gives you +900 critical rating as a 565 champ. All your attacks reduce the opponent's defensive ability accuracy by 65%. With the Electro synergy, you could place a disorient on the opponent, which is a 35% reduction to ability accuracy, which when you add the two together, that's 100%, which is pretty potent. So also while you're in this phase, you have 603 attack rating increase for each non-damaging debuff on Daredevil. And this bonus decreases by 5% for each additional debuff. So now that you can't purify them, you'll just use them to benefit your attack. And then when you use this heavy attack, the first hit spends 10 of your combo, so you just subtract 10 obviously, and it has a 100% chance to grant you a stacking cruelty buff that increases your crit damage by 430 for 14 seconds. So while having Punisher or Spider-Gwen on your team, every 15 seconds you could charge your heavy attack to get basically like a phase, which gives them a 100% chance to miss you while you're using a heavy attack, which means you could chain your heavy attack into a combo, or you can evade a special using it, whatever you want to do. I prefer using it to chain into my combo because you can get more damage using it. Daredevil's Awaken ability isn't that important, but it makes him a counter to certain annoying defenders. We'll get to that later. When you exit Murdoch Boy, the 15 or below combo meter phase, you get a rage debuff ranging from 6 to 17 seconds depending on sig level. And while in Styx Apprentice phase, attacks reduce the amount of damage the opponent can deal with passive effects when they're being struck by 50% at sig 1 or 100% at sig 200 for 0.2 seconds. This is just like Gambit or Omega Red. He can counter Spiked Armor, Korg, Electro, even Killmonger, which I'll show you all those counters later in the video, but this is only after 16 hits. So while I rambled on about his abilities, I managed to take down Captain Marvel in like 2 minutes 15 seconds, which isn't that bad. It's almost as fast as my 565 Sig 200 Silver Surfer, which isn't bad by any means. Both aren't necessarily known for their damage, but rather for their utility, or at least Silver Surfer is. I think Daredevil's just going to go down as more of a utility character with decent damage. On the Captain Marvel fight, I did not use my Special 3, but the Special 3 gives you a 100% chance to gain a Righteous Wrath passive for 70 seconds. And while this is active, Daredevil's basic attacks have a 35% chance to inflict an instant bleed, causing 120% of the damage dealt by the attack as direct damage. Now this is important for certain counters that I'll show you later in the video, and while the damage increases after you use the Special 3, it takes a while to build up to the Special 3, like 40 hits. So it's to each their own. You could either use the rotation I showed before or the special 3 rotation. The average damage per second for a 500,000 health pool fight is about the same, because the time for both fights ended up being within 10 seconds of each other. So what I kind of took from using this guy, if you want to have your utility where you bypass thorns or cord, electro, etc., you want to be above 16 hits at all times. You never want to drop below that, because when you do, you'll lose that bypass to their mechanic. So the best way I found to play Daredevil is to juggle the two phases, Murdoch Boy and Styx Apprentice. So you want to build up to about 30 hits before using the special 2, and then launch a heavy attack. You can even chain the heavy into a special. That's risky because it's not 100% reliable, but it can work. But once you use your special 2, it'll drain some of your combo, and that will put you back in Murdoch Boy. Once you're in Murdoch Boy, you'll purify that rage debuff and immediately get a fury buff. So you can immediately work your way back up to a special 2. By then you'll be around 30 hits again. Use your heavy attack, use your special 2, and you'll be at 2 fury buffs. And that's how you ramp up his damage. It's really hard to stack more than 2 fury buffs. And in this rotation, you kind of want to have 1 to 2 cruelty buffs on you at all times, because you'll lose too much combo if you try to focus on getting too many cruelty buffs. So in this Winter Soldier clip, I did a really bad job juggling between the two, because I only found this out after I used him in this fight. That's why the Captain Marvel one's first, because I prefer that method. But here you can see I use the heavy attack. The first hit lands, I get my cruelty buff, and then I throw the special 2 immediately after, and it lands. But it's not 100% reliable, and I do not recommend doing it in Alliance War if you ever bring him in, or if you ever bring him in any content where you have to be careful. So as you see here, I chained the 2, and then he immediately blocked it, which really sucks because the damage would have been awesome there. 3 cruelty buffs and 1 fury buff would have been awesome. So after 16 hits, he becomes a cord counter, and yes, I'm using double medium. That's just to show how much damage you could take without this counter. But now I'm over 16 hits, and I'm taking no damage here. And then once his shield is shattered, that's when you want to throw a special attack to try to land a good amount of damage. So Daredevil doesn't need to be able to bleed the opponent, but it really helps. His special 2 has a chance to put 3 bleed debuffs on the opponent, each of them doing 3,000 direct damage over 5 seconds, and each one spends 5 hits on the combo meter, if I didn't mention that already. So here we have Abyss of Legends thing, and I do get the solo, I just didn't get it on video. It would have been too long, and I just didn't want to show you guys how good I am. So, as you could probably tell already, I'm joking. There's no way I could have soloed this Abyss thing. He could probably solo an Alliance War thing boss, or a thing on a lane or something, or a thing in Act 6, if there is any. I can't remember off the top of my head. He's a pretty good thing counter after you use your special 3. So, to reiterate again for probably the 3rd time, when you're in Styx Apprentice, that's 16 hits or more on the combo meter. All your attacks reduce the opponent's defensive ability accuracy by 65%. If you pair this with Electro, you get 35% extra ability accuracy reduction when you knock down the opponent through a disorient debuff. So now, as you can see here, when I attack into him, he's not going to gain any rock stacks. He actually loses some because of the instant bleeds, because those do work as bleed debuffs. But while that disorient is active, I am not going to give him any rock stacks at all, because it's 100% defensive ability accuracy reduction. So on the champion spotlight that Kabam posted, I really don't see this guy being an Alliance War, MVP kind of character, even though they said he would be. They said he'd be great for disabling tactics, and while his ability accuracy reduction would be good, I just don't see it being like the game-changing thing that they think it'll be. But I have my first Tier 5 war coming up in this alliance. I've been in Tier 5 wars in previous alliances. I'll probably test him out in there and try to have some fun with him, but also we're trying to push for Plat 4, I think it is. We're in Gold 1 right now, so we'll see how far we get. But this is the Cavalier side quest this month, or event quest, sorry, it's not the side quest. And this is Chapter 3, Quest 1, the one that benefits the skill characters, and he doesn't get too much of a benefit. I just figured this would be a good place to come in and test him. So none of the nodes are really benefiting either character too much. So this is just going to be a basic fight against Angela, and I wanted to cut it out, but I figured I should show just a basic fight where it's not Realm of Legends and it's not a good matchup. This is just a basic matchup where you'd expect like normal numbers from him. So in this clip, I didn't really play the greatest with him yet. See, I tried to use my heavy attack. I didn't realize that she would shrug off the debuff quick enough, so I missed, but I was able to intercept with my special too. And then one thing to note, he really benefits from landing crits because you will have the cruelty buffs active, and if you're not landing critical hits, it's just his damage is going to feel really bad. And like his special too, if you don't land crits, it'll feel pretty terrible to shoot one off. But right here, I land 1 crit, land 2 crit, and land 3 crits. And the damage is pretty good there. It was almost 38,000 for the special 2. That's just rough math I did off the top of my head. So don't try to kill me in the comments if I was off by a couple hundred. But here, this next fight is against Killmonger, and Daredevil surprisingly counters him pretty well. So just like the Korg matchup, he's not immediately a counter. You have to build up your combo. So here I almost messed up. I was able to land the last hit of my heavy. Normally you'd want to wait it out to avoid unnecessary damage, but video purposes, I'm just going to batter into him because, you know, I don't really care right now. I'm just trying to make the fight as quick as possible. But I also use a special 1 so I can immediately get up to above 16 hits. So now I don't have to worry about reverberation at all. Also, again, another thing to note, on knockdown when you have the Electro synergy, the disorient debuff and his normal ability accuracy reduction from his hits above 16 hits on the combo meter, it equates to 100% ability accuracy reduction for the defender's defensive ability. So if I were to strike his block, in theory he would not go unstoppable. As you can see right there, it's no longer in theory, you just saw it. I forgot that I did it, but now you can see that he's got reverberation active and I'm taking no damage. Like a small correction, my last hit of my special 2 took reverberation damage because I wasn't careful about managing my combo. That's one thing you want to be careful with. You also, certain matchups you want to juggle the combo, certain matchups you want to keep the combo. So once you build up to 16 hits, it's a pretty straightforward fight. You just want to make sure you don't spend your combo too much when using special attacks or your heavy attack. And you can if you build up your combo high enough. That way you could just go heavy attack, maybe even a second heavy attack, and then another special 2, and still try to be above 16 hits. The combo spending and the combo being a part of your utility is one of my favorite things about this buff because it gives you more things to think about when using them, and it doesn't feel as stressful as one might think it would be. It is pretty straightforward. But here we have Electro in the same quest. So for Electro, there is nothing you could do other than take the damage while you try to build up to 16 hits. But once you're above 16 hits, you will not take any of that passive damage he gives you when you hit into him. You will also have the class advantage against Electro, obviously, so you'll get increased attack. And when you're using your special 2 rotation, if you build up high enough to avoid his passive damage, you will actually have the rage debuff that will heal you, not as fast because it's a 40% regen rate instead of 100%, which sucks, but I get it. But you'll end up regenerating pretty high if it's a long fight. But basically, once you're above 16 hits, pretty straightforward, just like the Killmonger fight. Just try to stay aggressive, build up your combo meter, and watch your combo meter. Make sure you don't spend too much of it. Just like my parents said when they gave me money, don't spend it all at one place. That's kind of what you want to do with this combo meter when you're in certain fights. As you can see here, I tried to do my heavy attack into special 2 and he blocked it and I got punished and lost 50% health, which really sucks. But that's one reason why I said do it at your own risk, and I showed you why you should do it at your own risk. As you can see here, I landed it for some reason. I don't know why I couldn't the first one. I don't know why I couldn't the second one. The timing is just almost exactly the same. It's within like nanoseconds the difference. So I don't know why it's not working, but you know, who cares? Daredevil is not the greatest void counter. He shrugs off the debuffs that void places, but there's a little something funny that happens with his regeneration rate and his rage debuffs, and it really sucks to see, because I was really hoping like this would be a good counter to void, and you know, he'd be able to counter void, Killmonger, Thing, Korg, Electro, but no, he can't counter void at all. I mean, he could work, but you have to be really careful with managing his combo, and you need to stay in Murdoch Boy. You can never enter his damage phase, which is Styx Apprentice. I almost didn't want to show this fight just because of how slow and terrible it is, but I also felt the need to show the different matchups that you can use Daredevil in. And he's good in certain scenarios and he's bad in certain ones, just like any other character in the game. It's just Daredevil's utility makes him pretty much usable in a lot of scenarios that most champs can't be used in. But as you see here, I get to 16 hits and I get that rage debuff from my signature ability, and the damage over time from void is just obliterating me. And once I have 3 up, it doesn't really change it, obviously, but still, it's just they're not going to go away in time for me to come back and win the fight, especially with the regeneration rate lowered. And finally, this is a spiked armor node in Road to the Labyrinth, which is where if you crit somebody, you have a chance to take damage back. So as you see there, I took a little passive damage. It showed up, there it is again. But once I build up past 16 hits, he completely negates that whole mechanic, that whole node I mean. This is about it for the video. I have a Discord that'll be in the description. Like if you enjoyed the video, subscribe if you're new. Drop a comment if I missed anything, because he's still new. People are still learning him, and I'm not an expert with him, but I feel I got a pretty good handle on him. And I really hope this changes someone's mind who thinks he's a terrible character. He's not going to be like an insane god tier like Magneto or Colossus, but he's got utility and he's got some decent damage, and he'll be useful for growing accounts that need someone who can counter multiple things, but Falcon's the option there. But like always, guys, I hope you enjoyed, and I will see you for the next one.
What we do here is go back.